Here we go. Hi,
John,
everybody. Welcome to our MPF webinar for February 2026. This is number 66 of our series. Uri, good to see you. How's things going?
things are going excellent. John, sorry to interrupt you, but I just two things. Number one is I lost the presentation on the screen here, and I don't know if that's me or you. I think it's you, meaning you did something, I
Mhm.
think, because it just, as you clicked it through, it.
Yeah, let's get this squared away. You know me and technology, my favorite friend, technology. But it's funny, we're doing our AI programs with Tony
Very
DeSimone
good.
and putting that out there to help smaller, mid-sized firms work through the integration of AI into the practice. And it's these webinars are fun, and we're just getting kicked up with him. And so we're doing one tomorrow with Tony on the integration of AI into the practice, and people are really
Mm-hmm.
finding value. And we're recommending policy, no surprise, enforcement of
Yeah.
your policy. There's a lot of firms are
Policy?
promulgating policy. Yeah, policy,
Policy?
oversight,
Policy?
accountability. I know, crazy
Oversight?
stuff, crazy stuff. Uh, and of course, training.
Tony.
Of course, training. Tony doesn't know lawyers and law firms as well as you and I do, Uri. So I'm trying to bring him up to speed
Uh,
on that accountability piece. So this is a hot topic, one we've done a
yep.
few times, the history of the
Yep.
webinar series. And last one we did was almost 2 years ago. We did it in March
Oh.
of 2024. Bunch of questions. And Uri and I are just going to rapid fire questions today, just the two of us, and opine a little bit and leave you all with a lot of fresh data as to how compensation models are trending within smaller and mid-sized law firms. And we are certainly picking up on trends, given that we've done this program a few times. So it should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, John, I know it's not our history of doing this, but I'll just make one point is as we were preparing for today's call and looking at the questions that people put in, people are
Yep.
looking more and more, I think, to their compensation as a lever for change. And as for how do I incent, right? We saw that in a number of the questions for Uri and John, which is how do we incentivize this? How do we incentivize that? So people, I think, are making that connection maybe
No
more than
doubt.
in the past.
No doubt. Money motivates. And yeah, I think you reward and incent the desired behaviors. If it's teamwork, sharing, uh, whatever it is, I think the compensation system has to align with your strategy and the behaviors you're trying to encourage, not just among your equity partners, but throughout the firm. The income partners, the associates. So a number of the questions when y'all registered talked about associate compensation. Today's program's mostly toward equity partners and how they divvy up the pie and what they weight and reward. We'll touch a little bit on associates, and maybe that's a separate webinar altogether, Uri,
I think it
is
is.
motivating associates because boy, they
Associates,
like that work-life
counsel.
balance, don't they?
They do, but it's the whole, I mean, we don't like to say the non word, but all non-equity partners. How do we motivate them? How do we motivate contract partners or your
Great
future
use.
equity partners, as we like to talk to them?
I like.
Future
I
equities.
hate to use the non-word, but non-equity, non-billable.
Yes,
You know,
yes, yes, yes,
non.
yes.
We encourage firms take the non out of the firm vocabulary
Yeah,
and income partner,
yeah.
and your support staff. You know, they're
Mhm.
really important part of your team, and the non-billable time is really important too. And I think call it investment time,
Mhm.
call them income partners, just to keep things a little more positive and get that non out of firm vocabulary. We are at about, let me my clock here. We are at the start time. In fact, we're a minute or two late. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, everybody. Welcome to our 66 MPF webinar in the series.
Wow.
And delighted to be with you as always, Uri. And I don't think we've missed a beat since we started these. I mean, we've been doing them pretty faithfully every month. So
Yes, John. We have.
it's fun.
Amazing. Time flies.
It's It's fun. We get a lot of regulars. We get some folks who occasionally participate, depending on the topic. And all of this is recorded and available to you through our website. All of these programs we've done absolutely free on our website. So if you're interested in going pulling that 2024 data, comparing it to this year's data, that's interesting. And we'll reference back to the 2024 data a little bit. But if
Mm-hmm.
you want to avail yourself to any of these programs, they're all there, and take advantage of it. Uri, tell us a little bit about Ames and Gough, what you guys do.
Sure. Thanks, John. So I'm at Ames Gough. I head up the law firm practice, and we are insurance brokers for law firms all around the country. So this is, as you know, I spend all my time with our good folks here, managing partners mostly around the country. And so this is exactly what I like to do, John.
Boy, and everybody loves insurance. I mean, just can't get enough of that insurance.
Oh gosh.
We've been doing this managing partner gig for many, many years, a little consulting
Yep.
on the side, firm strategy, and things like that. A few announcements, and then we'll get in our webinar series. We're locked in on the third Wednesday of the month. And here we are on the third Wednesday of the month. Our big conference coming up in Atlanta. Seats are running out. So if you're interested, sign up now. Early bird will be expiring in a few weeks, and it will sell out. We've got about 24 seats left. We're going to do a fall
John, that room gets
symposium in
pretty full.
Chicago.
That
It
room gets
does, and I
pretty
I have a
full.
hard time because we intentionally cap it, to keep it
I
intimate
know.
and immersive.
Yep.
And it's hard when people keep knocking on the door and I'm out of
Yep.
seats.
Yep.
It's hard to turn that away, but we're at that stage where you got to get in there if you want to show. This is the first time we've revealed our theme and the graphic. For the conference, we're going to be talking AI. How could we not? But not all AI. It'll be that 30,000-foot perspective, the managing partner, but we got to bring AI and how you're integrating that into the practice and
Mhm.
policy and training and billing implications around pricing models. All this stuff firms are trying to figure out. So we got that out there. We're going to be doing a webinar tomorrow with Tony DeSimone, and he'll be in Atlanta. Uri, you'll be in Atlanta, and a lot of people
Sure.
on today's call, I think, will be in Atlanta. Great time of year, nice cool nights, nice warm sunny days, and those of you been, I think, can attest to the value and the quality of the programming. We have 110 registered today. Latest trends in compensation models, surveys. We're going to hit you with 20 live polling questions, 20 of them. So get your polling devices ready and be ready to participate. And we'll distribute the results and polling questions and all that good stuff so you can share it with your firm. All we ask back is your evaluations and what we like and what you like, which don't like, how we can offer better programming topics for future programs. We really do tune in. Marie and I compare the notes immediately after the session, and we do listen, believe it or not. Want to thank
Well, John,
folks at Mind Sale.
John, I just will get in there that if anybody has any comments as we go through today's, we do have a lot of interaction with the polling, but if there's anything in particular that you think is way off the mark, that John just totally gets it wrong, feel free to put it in the question and I will challenge him with your question.
Did you just say that?
I was thinking that.
We got some questions when you're registered. We asked for some things, and we take that in, and we'll try to address as much of it as we can in our short time together this afternoon. We try to hard stop at the top of the hour, and again, it's all online. Here's the team. This is your law firm. You got pitchers and hitters and fielders and base runners, and not everybody does it all. But each of these participants are important to the success of the team. If you want a successful, in this case, baseball team, and I think the analogy is very, very appropriate. You have hitters, pitchers, fielders, and each of us contributes in different ways. And these are just the people on the field. Let's consider these the equity partners. But you got a lot of people off the field who are really important to the team. your farm system, your support staff. You need a manager in the clubhouse, dietitians, weight trainers, all this good stuff. And if we work together towards shared goals and value and appreciate what each of us brings to the table, I think we'll be much more successful as a team. Uri, you buy that, or am I just full of you know what?
Well, I think that's
The
the
team.
tension is compensation, which we're going to be talking about today, is often a one man sport, right? Meaning your compensation is your compensation, and the
Yeah,
team is how the firm's doing. So there is that tension. Where is it my compensation, or is it how's the firm doing? So I think that's everybody's got that tension. I think that'll show up in our questions as we
absolutely.
go through.
And you certainly want to reward individual performance, your top
Right.
performers, certainly. But we have to recognize we all are part of the team. And
Yes.
how do these managing partners get paid? We'll talk a little bit about that because a lot of time a lot of sacrifice from your collections, your book building, to assume that leadership role and do a good job there. And are you being adequately and fairly compensated? Most managing partners say no, but firm building contributions are important as well. So this is a rhetorical question, but is our system fair? Does it value the right things and the unique contributions of the members of our team? We want to go win a World Series. Uri, over to you.
Yeah, well, when we registered, and this is we're going to start getting to the data, so we'll bring on some of the registration questions and what you told us, and then we'll jump into our, as John said, our 20 polling questions. So when you registered, we asked three questions. The first is what best describes your firm's current compensation? You'll see as we go throughout, we're going to see a lot of trends today. But what describes now when we're asking you about yours? And most of you, three-quarters of you, say, it's pretty good. It either works well for us at 34%, a few tweaks here and there, but it's pretty good at 42. So three-quarters of you are just thinking it works quite well. And then there's 23% of you who say, we need revisions. John, did this surprise you?
No, no, and it's very similar to what we saw in 2024.
Yes, that's right. And the second question, when you registered, we said, have you made any significant changes in the past 5 years? So 40% and 41% of you said yes. In the last 5 years, we did make significant changes. John, does this surprise you?
No. Well, in a way, I think locking in 60% a rigid and flexible system that doesn't evolve and adapt, a healthy system, I believe, should evolve and adapt as your firm
Yeah.
matures. Perhaps we're dealing with succession planning, and we want to reward senior lawyers to transition work as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to holding it on. So, for your firm at this stage in its life cycle, I don't think a system should be locked in stone forever. Much like the partnership agreement, it should evolve and adapt as our firm evolves and adapt. The income partner category, relatively new thing. We never heard of that 40 years ago, but now it's very common. We use the term significant changes. We didn't
And I
define
think
that was within the last 5 years.
See, I think that John, you're right. Significant changes. I think if we said just regular changes, I wouldn't think much of it. But significant changes, I actually think this is a big deal, and I wonder if today's group is going to show that. So today's third question, when
Yeah,
you
my
registered,
experience,
we
Uri,
asked.
is when you start tinkering with the compensation system, it gets
Oh yeah.
everybody's attention.
Touching the third rail. That's right. Be careful what you do. So this is going to be a theme that we're going to go throughout. There's several questions where this touches, but we asked you when you registered, is your current compensation trending more objective or subjective over the last 5 years? As you've made those changes, is it becoming more objective or subjective? And here, John, there is a trend, isn't there?
Very distinct, and it was there 2 years ago. It's amplified this year in terms
More.
of more objectivity and what are we measuring? And we're going to talk a lot about what we're measuring, how it's weighted, and is the weight going up or down in the four we picked four kind of major elements of the compensation system that firms look at as they assess contributions from the equity partners. We're definitely seeing a trend toward more objectivity. And we'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about transparency as well as we get into the program,
Mm-hmm.
because we're seeing
That's
trends
right.
around transparency, very distinct trends around transparency as well. Here's our opening question. Let me go to our polls. And guys and gals, this is the first of 20 questions. So get ready. And the first question is our one we ask every webinar, just for context, the firm sizes on today's call. If you would, let us know your firm size in terms of lawyer headcount. And here come the answers. I'm looking for about 70% participation. We have 110 registered. So we're at 60%, 66%. And I don't live in Georgia anymore, so I can't make my Georgia vote recount thing jokes anymore. But here's our firm sizes. And this
Can you
is
share it,
fairly
John?
typical.
John, can you share it?
This is fairly typical of our crowd and the firm
Mm-hmm.
sizes we draw to these programs. Usually we get a few more less than 10 lawyers on this
Mm-hmm.
session, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not the case today. So
Mm-hmm.
with that in mind, we want to talk a little bit about partner satisfaction with your system. Are your partners cool with the program? Does it work for them? And from where you sit as a managing partner of your firm, generally, how satisfied are your colleagues with your current system? They love it. Somewhat satisfied, somewhat unsatisfied, or people are really upset with the system. Where do you stand? Here come our responses. And
John, what do
Uri,
you
I'll
think people
invite
are going to
your
say?
comment to this.
I
I
like to
think
talk
that
second, but
I think I think generally we're seeing somewhat satisfied. Somewhat satisfied.
yeah,
There's no perfect system. There's
no.
always going to be people who feel that they were overcompensated, undercompensated. But here are our
Well,
results on this question. Somewhat satisfied, say 2/3 of our
mm-hmm.
participants. You surprised by that,
Yeah.
Mr. Gutfreund?
I am a little bit. I am a little bit. Again, just because I'm a little tainted by when we got the questions for today's session, everybody's asking us, how do we incentivize? How do we incentivize all these other things that are not usually part of it? So that is a little interesting. But people are happy. Most people on today's
Well,
call and
well,
most shareholders
somewhat
grew up on
happy,
it.
somewhat.
Okay. Okay. That's
We're
fair.
not
That's
thrilled.
fair. Fair.
But there you go. And I think, taking a look at the system every couple of years as a matter of course, and tweaking it,
Yeah.
and phasing in changes over time, tweaks over time. Uh, and when I get into these assignments where you got the equity of the senior partners who like the seniority-based system a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and you got the junior partners that want more performance, and trying to find that middle ground, easier said than done. But generally, firms say they're satisfied. Now, here's the thing. We touched on it earlier.
Yeah.
And
Let's
Uri,
let's
this I'm kicking back to you, the
yeah.
administration of this question.
Yeah, let's ask a question here about your current compensation. So here, when you look at, and John, just pull up those terms. What we want you to just put out what best describes in big picture. Everybody has little variations, but is it mostly subjective, 50-50 objective, subjective, mostly objective heavy on collections, mostly objective heavy on origination, or we're lockstep. We're a third year. We're getting this as a partner. Remember, this is partner compensation, equity partner compensation that we're
Equity.
talking
We're
about.
talking about the equity crowd here. And hey, the votes are a little slow coming in on this one. But here they come jumping
Well,
along. And
I think there's a lot of
let me
overlap here. So this is
Well,
what's
again, we're
best
looking at
described. Yeah.
generally, are you
Yep.
lockstep? We're seeing less and less of that. But in the good old
Yeah.
days, that was common. We share
Mm-hmm.
equally the pie
Mm-hmm.
among the equity partners. But here it is. It's reflected in the data. More objectivity,
Mm-hmm.
heavy on collections, what you bill and collect on your time as an equity partner. Here's 23% report that they are heavy toward origination credit and bringing in the work and feeding others. No perfect system. Any
John, are
surprise to
you?
that, Uri?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you and I have had this discussion. I think if we listen to the 24 recording, I think we're going to talk about this again, which is this reliance on collections. I think that makes a lot of sense for partners of firms and associates of firm. But when we talk to equity partners, these are owners. This is the CEO. This is the executive board. I'm not quite sure why collections. I mean, I know why, and certainly
Because
the
we can measure
economic
it,
impact.
you know?
I
It
understand,
is
but
what it is.
right. But I would think more, and this will come to a little later of how we come up with these numbers. And I know we have questions on that, but isn't origination the future of the firm? Isn't it?
I
Isn't
think
leadership
I
the
think
future of
as
the
you
firm?
move up through the ranks as an owner, these firm building contributions become more important. The
As do the
leadership, the business
origination.
development, the mentoring, the
Yes.
training become more important than going out and grinding hours if you're an owner.
So,
Now, the associates, the income partners, I think billable hours. Notice we don't have billable hours on here. It's more about the
yep.
money when you're an owner,
Sure.
not the time you
Sure.
put into it. So
Sure.
as folks move up, the associates, is it fair to measure them on collections because they can't control the rate, the
Right.
write-offs? If you're not feeding them, how do they hit their numbers? So I think for equity partners, and we'll get into it, the data is what it is, and collections we can measure that, we can count that up. And these other factors are a little more difficult to quantify and objectify. And, I get in their firms looking at their systems and, how do we quantify the subjective contributions? That's an interesting conversation. So in any event, that's where we are. Generally, what folks on the call use to describe their systems, and there's dozens and dozens of terms we can use, but those might be the big four. In the handout materials, we're going to send you a couple of articles on comp models from different authors. If you're thinking about, what's good about this system, what's not good about this system, because often there's unintended consequences. You go into the system with good spirit, and we'll talk about origination credit and how that can be very divisive at times. And we'll talk about sunsetting origination, things like that, to encourage more team. There's no I in team, more team-oriented behaviors. So
John,
here's generally
John, can I,
the
before we
process.
go on, before we go on, John, I have to ask you this question, okay? Which is, you see a lot of systems. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but you are the expert in this. What's the best system you've ever seen when it comes to subjective, objective, what we just were talking about?
Oh,
And what's the worst system?
oh. So I'm going to give that the typical lawyer answer. Well, it depends. On the one hand, on the other hand, I think it depends on, again, are we a first generation firm where the founders are
Okay.
still large and in charge? Are we
Okay.
dealing with an institutional client base, well established, where we just do good work? It just keeps coming in over the transom. Are we trying to motivate rainmaking?
Yes.
So it really depends on the culture, the strategic goals and objectives of the firm, and the behaviors you want to encourage, incent, reward. So it really is a big fat depends. It depends. Insurance defense
Okay.
firms compensate very differently than say personal injury firms. Uh, both
Okay.
law firms, but totally different deals in how they operate. So
I,
did that
I
answer
think
your question? No.
I think you punted a little bit. Feel free to put in the questions if you think John punted on that one. I think you did
Hey,
a
hey,
little
hey,
bit.
leave John alone. Leave John alone.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here's
This
our
is yours.
next polling question, which is the process you might use to describe the system. The process. Is it smooth and easy? Is it open but hardly smooth and easy? It's shrouded in secrecy. Jones Day, famous for its black box, where people don't see each other's numbers. You trust the guy with the black box that he or she is being fair and equitable. Again, no perfect system. Uri, give me your prediction. What you think most folks on today's call would use among these four terms to describe their systems?
Yeah, well, I just want to reiterate, this is for equity partner compensation. I know we've said it a bunch of times, but just
Yep.
particularly when it comes to this kind of a system and discussion, um, I think people are mostly open and transparent of some level. I think they'll say that. I do think that black box is somewhat coming back. I see
Do
it
you?
more
You
and
see
more
it coming back?
to my surprise. I think the rank and file really do want open and transparent. I mean, that's what we hear. So I am always a little surprised, but I still hear black box among
Boy,
small and
I
mid-sized firms.
I don't see it come. I mean, there are a few, and it's
Right.
often where the founder is still large in charge, and everybody trusts the founder.
Yeah.
And but I think as we bring more people into the firm,
Oh, sure.
laterals and such, that black box, boy, you really got to trust the keeper of the box.
Right.
I'm not seeing a trend that direction at all, but
I
you
had a
hear about it
firm.
every now and again. Here's what we got.
Yeah. Push it out there, John. Share it. There we go.
So we
Thank
see
you.
the open and transparency for some firms. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
it just lays down
Mm-hmm.
pretty easily. But look at that. 30% say it's hardly smooth and
Smooth
easy
and easy.
exercise when everybody
Yeah.
gets to see everybody else's
Yeah.
numbers and have input to it. So
I
there we
think
go on that question.
this probably has a lot to do with the subjective objective, right? I think maybe I'll put words in your mouth, but I think the best compensation, tell me if you agree, John, the best compensation plan, whatever you set up in your firm, means that at the end of the year, there are no surprises. Why? Because everybody knows what it is. It shouldn't be a debate at the end, whatever your system is. What are the priorities? What are you incentivizing, either subjective or objective or subjective? But people shouldn't be
I
surprised.
No,
Do you
there
agree?
shouldn't be any shockers. But I would also
Right.
carry that down to your associates. They should have a
Okay.
sense of how they're doing and not get shocked at
Yes.
the end of the year when they don't get a bonus. I think expectations, clarity around expectations, uh, transparency are important concepts to make sure people are getting along and trust the system. Trust the system. We're going to look at transparency as our next question. And with the way we set this question up is, let me go to my polls. Hang on.
You
Yeah,
did it.
it's up now. Uh, More or less transparent. If you look back 5 years, are we
Mm.
more open than we were 5 years ago? Or about the same? Or have we kind of taken things to a black box or made it a little more opaque in terms of what people see? And the fear is it can create tensions when people start bickering and see what each other's doing. And, why is this guy making 500,000 when I'm making 499,000? It's gonna, you know, these kinds of
That's
issues.
that is the number one complaint, John. It's not what did I make, it's why did I make X and she made
compared
Y. Or
compared
yeah,
to the guy
compared.
in the next office or the gal in the next office. We are
Exactly.
seeing this trend toward more transparency. I mean, this is a
Yeah, look
very
at that.
distinctive trend.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you
Mm-hmm.
measure? What do you reward? And that's where we go next. And Uri, we're going to have to. I'm looking at the time. We got a lot of ground to cover, so I'm going to kind of pick up the
Yep.
pace on us here a little bit.
Yep.
We're definitely
What
seeing that trend toward transparency. Uri, this was your question when we went
yeah.
through our
So
diagram.
where in the organization is compensation being set? So, which organizationally, this is an organizational question. Do you have an executive or management committee? Firms sort of use those phrases intermittently. Do you have a separate compensation committee, or are all equity firm owners, all the partners involved, and we just sit in a room and we put the big number on the board and we all cut it up? So, what would you say? And of course, black box, and if you have another system, but at which level in the organization we're trying to measure here. John, what do you think people are going to say?
Well, we typically see about 40%, 40% of mid-sized
Hmm.
firms have a compensation committee, separate and apart
Yeah.
from the executive committee. Now, is that
Yeah.
committee a subset of the executive committee? How are
Mm.
those members determined? Because often there's a perception that the comp committee is feathering its own nests, the members of that committee. So if you do
Yeah.
have a comp committee, are they appointed? Are they elected? Are they term limited? How is that committee determined? And sure enough, the data holds up. About 42% on this call say they have a compensation committee.
John, do you like that?
About a
John, do you
third
like that?
roll it into the executive committee. I do. I do.
You do. Separate
Particularly as
committee.
firms move beyond 20, 25 lawyers,
Okay.
a dozen or 15 equity partners. I think I like an executive slash management committee. And as you suggest, those words are used pretty interchangeably. Uh, but we see it 40%. But I think the key is, how is that committee determined? And do we trust the committee? Do we trust the committee? I mean, is it the senior partners, same old senior partners year after year? Or is it a better cross section of the firm, where you got some young lawyers, maybe some branch offices participating on that comp committee? So here's what you guys said. Sure enough, 42%. It's amazing how that number's held up over time in terms of a compensation committee. What are your thoughts, Uri, on the comp committee at mid-sized law
Well,
firms?
I think that, yeah, I don't like comp committees that have a lot of power. Frankly, I always saw that role as more administrative more than anything else, meaning they should be tweaking the compensation. Going back to what we were just talking about, is there shouldn't be any shocks. So if you need a separate committee to meet and debate and to argue, that just seems silly. I think the priorities of the firm is set by the executive management committee, and the comp committee should be just tweaking around the edges. Some firms, that's the spot where people who don't like what the objective terms came up with, they can argue around the edges. That's what I think is healthy. I don't think it's healthy for the compensation committee to have this whole rigmarole. Some of our clients have, multi-day meetings about comp. That just
Yeah.
seems
Oh
silly.
my
I
God.
mean,
Weeks of meetings.
but
I've
that's
heard,
why.
if you've got a comp
Why?
committee and an executive committee, guess who's running the show? The
Well,
comp
that's my
committee.
point.
Money
That's my point.
motivates. And, if you do have a separate comp committee, I think codifying the roles of the authorities of
Yep.
the executive committee, the
What are the
responsibilities of the
rules?
comp committee, all the
Sure.
departments, practice groups, you want me to be the head of the litigation group. Okay, that's a distraction from my collections and rainmaking
Hmm.
to try to run a team. If I'm doing a good job, that's a big ask. And it takes time. And are there rewards, incentives for me to take that assignment? And I hear a lot from managing partners. I can't get anybody here to succeed me.
Yeah.
They
Well,
see how I'm treated, what I go through, and I
exactly.
can't find someone to come in and take the role, because the contributions that role brings to the firm are shortchanged in the system. We hear that frequently. Managing partners undervalued, underappreciated, undercompensated, and we certainly want firm leaders to be well compensated, although it's difficult to measure their individual statistics.
Mm.
The batting average, the ERA, back to the baseball team
Hmm.
analogy, stolen bases, whatever. I think, how's the team doing? Should be more how the head of litigation group is factored into pay and the contributions of managing partner. Now we're going to move into, this is kind of the meat of our program. And we're looking at the four major factors. There are other things. We don't have billable hours in here. We have
On
seniority
purpose.
on purpose, because as you become an equity partner, it's not so much about your time, it's more about your dollars. Maybe for the associates, we're looking more at their time, their billable hours, because they don't have so much control. So let's go through these big fours. We've identified them. And the first is seniority. This is the lockstep system where we all move up and generally, get the same raises and share equally. So let's ask here how heavily your firm weights seniority in the equity partner compensation model. Heavily weighted down to lightly weighted and doesn't make a difference at all. How old you are, how long you've been with the firm, how long you've been in private practice. And here comes our data on the weight towards seniority. And we don't define this. We just kind of use your judgment. Do we heavily weight it? Vary, somewhat, moderately. And prediction on this one, Uri, what do you think?
Well, I think we've been seeing it trend away from seniority, but I think that historically that was heavy, but that's certainly not what's in trend today. Meaning today people are, what have you done? What's your contribution now to the firm? What have your contributions been the last couple of years? And what's the future? As opposed to you've been here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
I had a group years ago, and it was lockstep traditionally, seniority-based system, and pretty rigid, been running that way for decades. And the young lawyers start rattling the cages because they want performance, not seniority. And if they perceive they're carrying dead weight, and that's not a good thing. So here's the data on performance. Let me push this out. Did I share that one, Uri? Did I click through that one?
It went too fast. It went too fast. You want to try it again?
I can't bring it back once it goes. I'm not able to reshare it, unfortunately. But let me see if I can, because yeah, share again. I can. So look at that. 39% doesn't matter for a hill of beans, and the 32% say it's a light factor. But this is a trend. So that's what you say the weight is. And now we're going to move to, is that trending up or down? The weight we all put on seniority within your firms. So let me pull that question up. And which direction are we going? Up and down in terms of how heavily we weight seniority in the equity partner comp system. And I think we're going to see a big trend down. Big trend down.
Which reflects history, historical, we're adjusting some of those senior compensation after many years. So I think we are going to see it. And I think I hear anecdotally a lot of firms doing that, over time. So past 5 years, have you trended? Look at that. Look at that, John. So yeah, this is
nobody's weighting seniority. Not one firm on the call is weighting seniority more heavily.
More
as a factor.
Right.
And in fact, we're getting off that to more performance-based models, which I think is the way it should be. What have you done for me lately? Let's look at your 3-year, look back, see how you're doing. And reward performance. You do not want to frustrate your high performers. If they start jumping the ship, that's not a good situation for your law firm. So I think it's really important to take care of your top performers. And performance is the thing to be looking at. Uri, this is your set of slides. And again, we got to run a little faster here. We got 25 minutes.
We're going to talk about questions as opposed to, we have 2 questions in the set on collections. So how much does your firm weigh collections? We already saw a lot of people categorize their firm as collections based in their comp plan. So let's see, I think we're going to see that here. So how much is collections? How heavy is collections in the comp system, from very heavily weighted to not a factor at all? And I think we'll see some all around, but let's see. John, your prediction when we talk, and by the way, when we talk about collections, we're talking about your personal collections, for clarity.
Right. Dollars that you bill and collect for your time, your collections. And this is kind of surprising. I've got about 75% participation rate in the polling question. And it is a heavily weighted factor. Interestingly, 7% said it's not a factor at all for setting equity partner compensation. We look at other contributions beyond what you bill and collect on your time.
It could be collections in your group or collections for your team. We were talking about individual collections.
We asked about your personal billings.
Oh, I know. I'm saying the 7% could be that it's not their personal collections. Okay. Second question that we ask on collections, how is that trending? Which direction are you giving it, more weight or less weight? John, can you pop up that question?
5-year
So
look back.
collections.
5-year look
Mm-hmm.
back. Are you more or less heavily weighting collections? It is a big weight, obviously, for
Mm-hmm.
most firms. Is it going up or down in terms of the weight we put on personal collections? We're going to talk about origination credit next,
We will talk about that.
and then the firm building contributions as well. So here's the trending on weight on personal collections. And it looks like for most firms here, it's pretty static,
Yeah.
heavily weighted, but static. But for some firms, we're weighting it more heavily. And believe me,
Mm-hmm.
the grinders want to see this, obviously. I grind. I'm not a rainmaker. I'm not a mentor. I just grind out hours, bring in dollars. Uh, those grinders like the collections heavily weighted, obviously.
John, so I'm gonna put you on the spot again. Is that good?
Yes.
Is that good? Now, most people do it. I'm
Again, it
asking you to go
depends.
against the
It
crowd here.
depends.
Depend.
It
Okay.
depends. There's no perfect
Okay.
system. What's right for your firm and where it
Mm-hmm.
is and where you want to go and how you want to reward your partners for what they do and what they bring
Mm-hmm.
to the table. I think that as you move up the ranks, origination is far more important than personal collections.
Mm-hmm.
And what you bring in and feed to others, feed yourself and feed to others, origination credit. We're going to ask a whole four questions on origination credit. And for equity partners, uh, where would you put it in its weight? Heavy, very, or somewhat heavy, moderate, or hey, we don't look at collections. I run into firms that have institutional client bases, and the work flows in. You do a good work, good service, the work flows in. Uh, if we start measuring origination credit, people are going to fight over my client, your client. Uh, so end poll, share results. Here's what we got on the weighting for origination credit. Uri, how do
Wow.
you feel about origination credit? Just generally, is it important?
Yeah. I mean,
Should it be heavy?
just generally, look, I think that you said it earlier, John, which is um, the compensation is a motivational factor. It's a motivational tool. It's a reward tool. People will do what you get. So if we go back to that data that you just shared, John, the number one complaint I hear, and I know you hear it too, which is we don't have enough partners originating. I mean, that is perhaps the number one problem with firms. So if that's the number one problem, then I would be wanting to weigh it significantly
Reward it.
and more than collections. So to the extent, what I see, what we're seeing here, that it's not as heavily as I would have thought weighted, but it probably should be, probably more than collections. You are not, the equity partners are there to grow the business, lead the business, incentivize the business, leave it better than not to make money off dollars on their back. That's what I think.
I think it's about leveraging as an
Mm.
equity partner what you bring in and feed to others. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you leverage your practice is bring it in and feed the associates, those little money makers working for you, and the income partners. But I think as an owner, bringing in the
Yep.
work, feeding it, passing it around is a more important contribution, in my opinion, than grinding. You got finders, minders, grinders. We hear these terms all the time. Finders, minders,
Mm-hmm.
grinders. I think an owner does more finding and minding of work and less
Mm-hmm.
grinding of the work. That's just
Yes.
conceptually how I think is the right way to go about this. And now we're going to ask the weighting toward origination credit. Is it going up or down in your firm's scheme over the last 5 years? The weight you're putting on origination credit. And we'll give people a little chance to vote here. We're going to move into then a set of questions about sharing of origination credit. Because, that could be, my client, it can create some hoarding, controlling. If we're heavily weighting origination, that's my client. And I'm not eager to share those relationships with others at the firm if I'm dealing with an institutional client. It can create some internal competition for sure. We've got about 70% of our eligible voters who have cast a ballot so far. So I'm going to hold it open just a little longer. And I am surprised by this result, Uri.
Hmm.
I would have thought we'd see
What
more weighting
I would
toward
have thought more
a
weighting
trend
too.
toward more weighting.
I would have
And
thought we'd see more weighting. It's fairly weighted earlier, but yeah, this is a little surprising. A little surprising, yes.
it is what it is. We're just passing through the data. Uri and I have our opinions on how you should run your firms, but we don't run law firms. We help you run your law firm. This is, I think, a really, really important consideration if you are
Mhm.
encouraging team and share. Our clients, firm first, is the sharing of origination credit. And so let's get a feel for our population here, how you encourage, if you do factor in origination. Do you have policy? Lawyer A originates the client, but lawyer B takes the file start to finish. Is there a split on the origination credit? My second firm, I was in house. We couldn't cross sell our way out of a wet paper bag because it was my client for life.
Mm,
Everything's
mm,
coming through me. So I like shared origination credit. Do you have firm policy, or do the two lawyers haggle it out? We're going to go visit a client in Nashville. Why should I go on that trip? But does your firm encourage origination credit? And here we are. 18% of firms have policy around this.
mhm, mhm,
Most firms, and that's what we see, it's haggled between the two lawyers involved, how they want to split
mhm,
that. I
mhm,
see practice group based origination credit.
mhm,
But origination credit is a big motivator to reward your business development folks for bringing in new work.
mhm.
Uh, and in most firms here, we see it. It's a deal between, and some partners share origination, some partners don't
Some don't.
share origination. Guess who's
John,
got a team going on? The partner who shares or the partner who doesn't?
John, I think that that's a great idea to share origination credit, right? As you said, to share the encouragement for everybody to pitch in to bring in that client. The problem I see at so many firms, and I think this is a problem, unfortunately, which is one of the partner brings in the client 100% themselves, but they end up giving out origination credit. You know why? Because
They
otherwise
can't.
Joe is not going to work. Joe's not going to work on their file.
Absolutely right.
So that's an abuse of the origination credit. There's a collections matter. If you're going to be doing the work, you'll get the collection column. And the reason why I think it's a problem, I will argue the problem because it skews the numbers. And at the end of the year, we're looking at origination. We're like, oh, John's a pretty big originator. It's kind of odd. John's never left the
Yeah,
office
yeah,
this year,
yeah.
so it's
But
a little surprising.
John's a pig when it comes to hoarding and controlling origination. My client. I've worked with
Well,
firms where they can't even have a 50th anniversary party because the lawyers don't want the clients to meet
yeah,
one of the lawyers,
other
because it's my client. I don't want
that's an
my client to
extreme.
meet
Sure,
any other.
sure,
I've
sure.
seen it more than once. It is an
Hmm.
extreme, but what's that all about?
Yeah,
If you've got folks that don't play, they're not good team players. They're ball
yeah,
hogs. They're
yeah.
dabblers outside their area of expertise. You got litigators trying to put together deals, transaction, and they don't know what they're doing. Worse
Right.
yet, the transactional lawyers that dabble in litigation and screw it up and can't bill for the work they put to the file. The system encourages the hoarding, the control, the my client mindset. And I think
Mm.
really trying to build this notion of firm first, our clients, we share, we go with the market as a team, I
Yeah.
think is an important thing to factor into the system.
What one of my clients says origination absolutely shared when we both do the origination. That means you're coming with me on the pitch, John. Okay. Not that I have to bribe you with origination credit to get you to do my work. And then I'll I've said enough
Well,
on
it's
this
first,
topic.
it's our work. Let's stop with the my and his and hers. We're a firm. We're a team. Maybe you should go be a sole practitioner if you don't play well with others and share. But people want the portable books of business. So controlling, because the client will follow the lawyer, typically, if they jump firms. So it's a real interesting dilemma on team, rewarding rainmakers, portable books of business. I like the firm first, our clients mindset, and the comp system that encourages and supports firm first behavior, teamwork, sharing, and things like that. Uh, my first firm, I was in-house years ago, sunset origination at the client level, 3 years. You got credit at the client level. And at the matter level, origination carried on. Who gets the call? Who does the client like? Trust with the matter. And that seemed to work very, very well, that mechanism. It's not origination at the client level for life. Because good luck when it comes to succession planning and client transition. If hey, as long as I'm hoarding that credit and it's weighted in our system, I don't think that's what we want to see. And I see with a lot of succession planning, the senior lawyers hoard and control.
Yeah.
That's how they make their money, is through that origination number in their column. And if they start passing that on, sharing it with others, they might get dinged at comp time. And
Yeah.
so here's the concept on origination. Let me end the poll, share results. And I'm glad to see this, that 14% do sunset origination within 3 years, and some 5 years. But most, 46% anyway, say, no, it's a lifetime deal. My client for life.
Yeah. I
And
see that the most common. I still see that the most
yeah, it
common.
is. Oh, yeah, definitely the most common. But does it encourage sharing and teamwork
Hmm.
at the firm level? So here's the 34% that don't track origination, which is interesting. How do
Yeah.
you reward your rainmakers? Why should I go out, do some marketing, go on a client pitch? The idea is, I guess, I'll put collections dollars in my column. But I like origination credit. I like shared origination credit. I like sunset origination credit conceptually. But every
Mm-hmm.
firm's a little different. The culture, the personalities, and what kind of behaviors we're looking to reward and incent. Uh, Origination credit. We're done with our set of questions on that topic, and I can see the finish line from here, Uri. I can see the
Firm
finish line.
building.
This is
Firm
what
building.
managing partners do. Firm building,
Yes.
mentoring,
Firm
department
building.
leadership, branch offices. Hard to measure. Is firm building at all factored? The non-billable stuff, that's often what we call this non-billable time. And, if you're rewarding the collections, I don't have much non-billable time for you. I'm sorry. Find
Mm.
somebody else. So the firm building contributions, our polling question here is the weighting on firm building. Think of this managing partner time, department head time. And is that factored in? Do you track that time as managing partners? Most managing partners don't track their time.
I
But when
I see
they
that too.
do, they're amazed at how much time they invest in the
Oh,
role.
and they should. The partners are always asking me, "What do you do all day, John? What do you
Yeah,
do?"
yeah. Yeah, I don't see your origination column. I don't see your collections column. What the hell are you doing? And the life of a managing partner is not an easy one. But boy, I talk to managing partners, Uri. I'm sure you do too. They can't find a successor.
Yeah,
Nobody
it's a
wants
tough
to take it
job.
on because why
Who
should I?
wants that
Why? And it's
job?
not rewarded. It's
Yeah,
not rewarded.
yeah.
And here, and
And I
look
think,
at this data here, Uri. We're punching up,
yeah,
sharing results, and 1 in 4 firms doesn't matter.
yeah, which is crazy.
Uh,
That's crazy.
if you want people to take firm investment, David Maister talks about this. I love David Maister, and he talks about billable hours. That's for today's income. What we do with our
Mm-hmm.
non-billable time. Let's take the non
Mm-hmm.
out of the vocabulary. Our investment time, training young lawyers, running departments, serving on an executive committee, going out and visiting clients, business development activities. But looky here, closing the poll, and did I show those results again? This
You
is a
did, yeah. Put it back
multi-step
up. You can put it
process
back
for
up.
me to
Yeah.
go through these. I got to click, 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 and when there's 20 of them, I
Mhm.
sometimes don't click in the right place. So
Yes.
let me share this again. This is a new feature, by the way, on GoToWebinar. I like it because it used to be once I closed the poll, I couldn't get back to it.
Okay.
Uh,
Look at this.
but moderate,
58%.
light,
58% barely weighed at all. I mean, no surprise nobody wants the job. 58% barely come for it, appears to me. And John, let's jump to the trend on this.
bear with me. I've got to click, click, click. Well, I don't want to be like Georgia, where the FBI is going to come in and seize the ballots, you know. Good old Fulton County, where I used to live in Atlanta. Here's our question as to waiting for the quote investment time, the firm building contributions, or as most firms refer to it, the non-billable time.
Now, John,
Are we putting
I'm not
more
going to
weight or
ask
less
you
weight?
what you think, but what do you think people are going to say? Meaning, you're clear that you think people should track their time, and they should be compensated for it.
Legitimate
What do you
firm
think people
building
are going to
time.
say? Yes.
That's what's
Yes.
hard. I think it's not nearly enough. I think there might be a little trending toward valuing the contributions of a managing partner, a
Mm-hmm.
litigation department head,
Right.
the person running our associate development program. You know,
Yep.
if we want this person to do a good job, be attentive, and they do execute and present a really good associate development program, is there anything in
Yeah.
that for me to reward that? And here, ending and sharing, slight more weight to it, but
Yeah.
you know,
Not a
managing
stampede there. Not
partners,
a stampede.
we want you to get paid for your managing partner time and your firm building time. Otherwise, you know, why would you do it? Uh, why would you do it?
Okay,
People
John.
want money.
We
Money
are up.
motivates. So
We are up to
are we at the
perhaps the
end?
crescendo of our questions. Oh no, crescendo of our questions, which is how do you compensate your top performers? How do you
Oh yeah,
compensate your
I love
chronic
these questions.
underperformers?
And
Oh, go ahead.
I'm looking at the
Sorry,
time,
I
and
jumped ahead.
we've been, yeah, you did jump, Uri. Pay attention.
I
Look at
jumped.
the script.
I jumped.
Uh, uh, and we're going to run fast. These are really good questions. If you want to stick around, if you don't, we've run long, and I apologize. Uri and I always have a lot we want to share and a lot we want to cover. This is the factor, the multiple between your highest and lowest paid equity partner. Uh, what is that factor? Are we pretty? Use the word communism, or Uri, to describe
This
to
used to
describe
get a lot of
a compressed multiple.
this used to get a lot of press, John. They used to push this number a lot. You know, it's up
Mhm.
to 14. I mean, we used to hear this a lot. Um, I don't hear as much quite about this. And when you and I were talking about it, my quick opinion on this is that if everybody's performing at the same, then obviously good compression, real close numbers is good. If people are contributing different amounts to the firm, if you then artificially compress people, that's not going to work either.
Yeah.
What say
Why
you,
do I
John?
want to bust my butt? Why do I want to bust my butt when this person down the hall, you know, just kind of coasting along?
Yeah,
So I think here we have one. Did I put up the results, or did it's come up yet
it
on the
did.
share?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 3/4, 3 to 4.
Fine. That's usually the founder who's still
Mhm.
large and in charge and giving little
Yeah.
slices of equity to the young lawyers coming up the line. But 3 to 4, 5 to 6, yeah, your top performers should be paid as such, because if they perceive they're carrying the dead wood and start grumbling, worse yet, leave the firm. That's not a good situation. Is the spread trending up or down? And Uri, we don't have time to opine, so I'm just gonna hammer through these last questions. But if you really feel compelled, uh, stop me here. Is your firm becoming more compressed between high and low, or spreading between high and low in terms of equity partner compensation? I've got 53% of the vote in. I'm going to wait to get toward there. We got the 60 and a little more spread here. Not significant detection of more spread, but performance, I think, is really, really important. Keep care of your superstars. Keep good care of your superstars. Are your top performers adequately compensated? What do you think? Are they leaving money on the table or not?
Yeah, we asked this question. We're going to ask soon about your underperformers, how you think their comp is, but on
How
the
do you
top
subsidize
performers,
them? Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
related, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
related.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but I
You
think we're
call
going
it
to see.
communism, Murray, right? You call it communism.
Well,
Isn't
I
that the
think what
term you
we're going to
use?
see is,
Communism.
I, I I think I may have.
I know you did. uh, this is good to see.
Hmm.
2/3, about right. About right.
Yeah, yeah,
Your top performers start bailing. That's not a good situation.
yeah.
So making sure they're well tended to. And let's flip the coin on this. And are you overcompensating your underperformers? Notice I use the word chronic underperformers. A lot of
Hmm.
firms, a 3-year look back on performance. I think
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yep.
So there's a little, it's not an up and down thing, especially if you're doing contingency work, but it's more of a 3-year average. So you don't get gored in an off year. And here's our final question. And are your underperformers being perhaps overcompensated?
Yeah.
Uri, comment.
Well, I think our last session, if I recall, in 24, we were overcompensating our underperformers and underpaying our top performers. It's not the trend, but we understand it. Um, and I
Look at
predict
that.
we'll see the same now. Yeah. Oh yeah. Look.
Look at that.
Hmm.
Look at that. 2/3 somewhat overcompensated. And
Hmm.
boy, if you're one of those top performers, either you're a really nice altruistic person, uh, maybe you don't even see the numbers, you don't know who the underperformers
Hmm.
are, but
Hmm.
we talk a lot about
Well,
chronic underperformance and dealing with that and worse bad behavior. That
yeah.
lawyer with the big books of business who just hoard and control and disrupt, never happy, always want more, threaten to leave every year if I don't get more. Not healthy toward the good of the team. So here's what we got. Did I pull those results up, Uri,
You did.
to
You
this
did.
poll?
You did.
Okay. Okay.
You did.
Again, we'll share all this data with everybody here. If your firm is looking at its comp system, a few tweaks here and there, this might be helpful to see how other mid-sized firms are evolving within their compensation systems. Here's our overall observations. We've been talking about this throughout. There is no perfect system. They're all over the place. Some completely black box, some very open, transparent. We even share all the numbers with our associates. They see how
Yes.
our equity partners are performing. Not many firms do that, but some do. Lining our comp with our strategic goals and objectives, and they should evolve. Uh, Fairness, transparency, phase in big changes over time because people need to adjust if we're tweaking the system, and really take great care of your top performers so they don't even think about leaving because they really like the firm and the culture and feel that they are adequately rewarded. Anything we'd add to this list that I'm missing here, Uri, that we might want to leave our
I think it's
audience?
February. I think I'll just make one comment, John, which is that it should be well communicated in the beginning of the year. We
Oh
alluded to
yeah,
earlier the surprises. I'm always amazed by how many, it's almost the drama after the summer, September, October, people start, discussing. People should know it's already February 18th.
yeah.
what is
Yeah.
the compass system that we're going to be playing? What's the rules of the game this year? So that's my only takeaway, which is add to the list here, which is communicate. The beginning of the year, it's already
Yeah.
mid-February. The beginning of the year,
Yep.
how are we going to do at the end of the year? That's my last comment.
Clarity around the expectations. We ask, for example, what's the billable hour expectation for your equity partners?
Expectation.
And it's all over the place. And some firms have a floor, 1,200 billable we want among all our equity partners. Others, no, there is no floor. We don't want our best rainmakers distracted with billable hours. We want them to go out and make it monsoon. So just stuff to think about as you tweak your system. Our big conference coming along, we'll send you links to that in our follow-up. Our next webinar will be in March, topic to be determined, and we'll send you the recordings and all this polling data we collected this afternoon. Here's how to find us. Thank you for coming. Uri?
Thank
You
you.
got the
Great show,
last
John.
words.
I'll just say thank you, everyone, for coming, and have a great day.
Have a great day, and hopefully we'll see many of you in Atlanta in just a couple of months. Bye-bye now.
Bye now.